Hey everybody. So I saw my friend Rob did a review of the new Power Rangers movie that just hit theaters today slash yes last night. And I figured as a proclaimed and widely uh, heavy fanboy of the series and well, love the toys, I figured I'd put my thoughts out on it since I've seen it now twice since this movie's been in theaters so far. Um, I went opening night last night with my mom, and I went today with two of my other friends. And honestly, it's the best damn Power Ranger movie we've ever had. Granted, 94 and 97, I want to say, is when Turbo came out. Did not set the bar very high, but I'd still say it's a damn good movie. Um, Character development was unheard of, especially considering you're doing an origin story, which a lot of um, superhero movies they struggle just getting one hero kind of like down. You want to care for this character. They have trouble with one on a lot of them. Two, okay, maybe we can make it work. Three, okay, you're pushing it. Five though, not to mention all of the major side characters that are might as well be main characters, but not quite. Um, with Zordon and Alpha, but they managed for me to care about each and every one of these little bastards, being the main five, and that's more than I can say almost about most of the TV series, and most of the seasons. So that was very impressive. I'm not gonna do a super play by play. I'm just gonna kind of pick out the stuff as a Power Ranger fan. Oh, sorry. That interests me. Um, that said, we're gonna start off right off. The fact that showing Zordon 65 million years ago and just, I mean, he's been through Nam. Like, he's going through all of this, like, he's literally crawling through the mud. And you see the Yellow Ranger of the time of Zordon's era just actually just kick the bucket on screen, which in I think the entirety of the series, if I remember right, we've only seen maybe three or four Rangers die on screen at this point, and it's even more implied that, or it's not implied, it's straight out said that there's three other dead Rangers somewhere in that backdrop. We don't see them, but we know they're there, or at least somewhere in there's three more dead Rangers, and then we skip around the first. A lot of people are giving the shit for the first real joke of the movie being a you jerked off a cow. Way to go. It's a tire joke, but then again, this generation, the kids that are gonna watch this movie are gonna go, that's weird, and then they're gonna hit the point where, oh, we understand what a hell of a penis is, and it goes, oh, that's funny. We haven't heard that joke a million times. Yes, we're older fans are a little jaded by it, or can be, or older fans. That's not the word I want. Older people, yeah, that joke's been done a million times, but for the 13-year-old who's going to see this movie or however old, they probably haven't heard it that many times. So, the main, we'll start with the main three: Billy, Kim, and Jason. Jason, okay. Um, so he fucked up his knee and then proceeded to kind of like go in a depressing spiral, and that's interesting. Like all of the main five actually have issues that was a kind of a gripe for a lot of fans, and for people that would like pick up the show for like an episode or two and go, "Wait, I thought they were supposed to be teenagers with attitude. These are like the most upstanding citizens in the entire community. Like, where they're training dogs to be fire rescue dogs for the police department in their spare time. Attitude. um, so Jason's just become like a, I want to say prankster, but a like just completely went off the deep end from apparently what he was a football jock type. And Kimberly, she lost her friend circle and over a bad joke, or what she thought was a bad joke, what was really a very mean thing to do. Um, spoilers. Nah, fuck it. I'm gonna assume by this point, you've watched the movie. Otherwise, go watch the movie. If you don't care about spoilers, this is your tag. Yeah, no, I haven't said anything that really gives it. That wouldn't be figured out in the first 10 minutes of the movie anyway. By this point, so she shares a like apparently they're like mid-sex or mid nudie post or something. They don't show it to us, but it's heavily implied that she's in the middle of some sort of act with a boyfriend or somebody of her or of Kimberly's friend, not Kimberly. That and Kimberly shared this picture to somebody, and it just kind of spread like all nude pictures do. And it just so she lost her friend circle, and I assume the school did some sort of punishment. That's why she's in this like summer school delinquent class. Billy, they don't. He's obviously has some sort of mental disease. I've heard the term Asperger's get thrown around a lot. He said it. I paid attention on the second time because I was trying to hear what he said, and he said he was on the spectrum. I haven't Googled what that actually means yet, but some sort of mental. He doesn't catch humor as easily or at all. Um, he's very. I want to say socially awkward is yeah, but it didn't feel like a gag or like a like oh this is funny, but this is a character that has these issues and is still moving past them and becoming a superhero, which is really good. Um, Zach and Trini. Trini is potentially either lesbian or bi, depending. They kind of hint and skirt around it on a couple of the scenes, and I mean that's great for just okay. Now we have a Power Ranger that is not a hetero male or female, and that's great. Zach is who I feel like I think Billy was my favorite Ranger from this movie. I think he was my favorite, but I think he was meant to be everybody's favorite. But I think my favorite was Zach because he is kind of portrayed as like he's crazy, like he's one of the first to jump off a cliff or jump a cliff to try and catch up to Trini. And he said, like they ask him, "Are you crazy?" And he goes, "Yeah," with like no sarcasm or just no, I'm actually insane. But he also is. He's the only one taking care of his sick mother. He's not going to school. He's focusing on either keeping her healthy or trying to just live with the depression not depression, but the finality of he knows his mother's sick. It seems to be kind of terminal. It's hard to tell, but she's obviously bedridden. Like, so you can tell he's trying to deal with that. Even as a teenager, he's dealing with a sick mother, and so he has to step up. There's no dad in the picture, from what we can tell. They don't really talk about that, and they don't really. There's no father in the picture. We don't see. To be fair, other than we see Jason's parents, we see Billy's mother, his dad is AWOL. Whether it be dead or gone, we're not sure. Trini has a full family, but she's having issues with them just from they're the labely type, so it's kind of rocky there, and she's been floating through schools and stuff, so that's really neat. Kimberly's parents, we see her dad in one scene yelling about she cut her hair, and that's all we see them. And then Zach, yeah, we only see his mother, which that rang really close, and I almost cried on the fire pit scene both nights because that struck really close to home for me. So I feel like I like relate a lot to Zach, but I think Billy might have been my favorite. The only real like nitpicks I had of the movie were they didn't fight Rita in the suits at all. And I get why, because by the time the timing of everything was they wanted them to like morph, beat the hell out of the putties, and then fight Goldar, but they never really fought Rita other than getting their asses handed to them. Unmorphed. Which resulted in another Power Ranger death. Like, so it's like this movie did two to seven, three on screen, and six total. Yeah, two on screen, three on screen, six total deaths. Yeah. Greta what? Rita. Rita was the Green Ranger in the past, and they're hinting at Tommy Oliver for the mid-credit scene coming back as or coming to the detention squad. You can see that her staff, when she got bitch slapped, for lack of a better term, like she got fucking backhanded to the fucking moon, and her staff wasn't with her. So that tells me that the staff is still around there and there's a green power coin. Either with the Rangers or it's just floating around in Angel Grove. Like maybe Tommy was on the scene. The other Tommy, or the new one. It was just floating or just picked it up because why not? It looks shiny. So if there's a second one, I feel like we're definitely gonna get a Green Ranger movie. How we'll go about it is, who the hell knows? The cameos by Jason David Frank and Amy Jo Johnson were amazing. My theater the first time, definitely cheered for that one. And they hit a lot of the moments where the crowd clapped, wooted, like just was very happy about this movie. I think that's on Thursday. A lot of the like people like me, the fanboys and the Power Ranger fanatics that just had to see this movie, were out and about. Whereas today wasn't as many people. The suit designs I like a lot for a 2017 movie. Like, yes, everybody grew up with these suits, but these would be laughed at the theater. Like, let's be real, they'd be laughed out of the theater if they looked like the Super Sentai from 20 friggin' years ago. It just wouldn't look good. I like people are gonna say it's Iron Man. But I don't know. I like the look. Obviously, otherwise I would not have picked up all of them. Alpha. I saw the first I think it was like a what do you call it, concept art or like just a freeze frame of him, and then I saw the toy version. I was like, they are trying very hard to make me hate this movie before it comes out because this looks weird considering what we grew up as Alpha. Because this looks like the USS Enterprise and ET But the character I liked, the design, it's grown on me. Um, and the other elephant in the room, the individual Zords were actually pretty good. We actually got to see them like do stuff with the individual Zords, which they never really did with the show. I mean, there was a couple episodes, I think, if I remember right, in Mighty Morphin, the T Rex had a lot. They used a lot with the T Rex. They used a little bit with the Triceratops. I think I remember one or two scenes using the Triceratops by itself. I don't remember any other Zords really being used at all. No. So seeing all of the individuals was great. It was really neat to see all of them. I would have liked to see more of them, but origin story they were focusing on the characters, and so the fighting and the action kind of took it. Hopefully, movie 2 will see a lot more action. My hopes are, well, we'll get to that at the end. The actual full-on Megazord though, that's been getting a lot of debate and decision. Um, this is definitely closer to what we saw in the movie than that thing. And Goldar in this thing had wings. There was no need to have them have wings. They never went off in the air. They never floated. Like the closest to floating I think this thing ever got was when it was coming out of the thing, and you could just as easily say it climbed out. So, also the swords were the two wings. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a bit more Megazord fighting because they really only did the like initial, like, oh, we're gonna get used to the Zord mechanic. Like, okay, we got all of the, we're gonna get used to the Zord controls. They trip. All right. I mean that's fair. A lot of the complaints with Mighty Morphin and or a lot of Power Ranger series is, yay, you've had the Zords for 30 seconds and you can pilot them perfectly. So, all right, they trip, they fall, and yay, gag reel. Uh, but we saw, I didn't count, but it feels like the fight was 4 or 5 punches, a German suplex, suplex city bitch. Something wrong with seeing Goldar get suplexed. like, um, a gut kick or just a full chest like foot back. The Megazord fight was kind of weak. I hope with the second movie we get a lot more mech action. I know that costs $1 billion to try and like. All right, CGI costs a lot of money to make. I get that, but these are the best damn things this series has to offer. And to see such little of it, it's annoying. Because at least with a series, you can make the excuse of, yeah, we'll see maybe one fight every, a 2-minute fight in a 20-minute episode, but you'll see at least 30 minutes worth of footage. We barely got 15. 15 to 20 minutes was the climax. And that's where all of the Zord stuff was. And the fighting in general. Like I said, I'd like to see the second movie dig into the action a bit more. Is there anything? Okay. The Krispy Kreme ad at the end. I didn't mind it. Oh, I've seen a lot of people talk. I've seen 2 different reviews mention that they say Krispy Kreme a lot, and I tried to look at it a little more objectively on my second viewing. I think I just kind of settled back into the like just normal watching and not looking at it objectively. But I didn't really notice because everything was kind of in context that I'm remembering. Like market advertising, yeah, this movie kind of bent over to try and like, all right, we signed a like $10 million deal for Krispy Kreme. Okay, and that was like their only sponsor they threw out there. The other thing my mom brought up to me was that in the original Power Rangers, there was the Juice Bar hangout. And there was no real hangout point for these guys. So the Krispy Kreme, other than they were in the mountains, they were in the cave, they were in the power center, but there was no like civilian hangout. So Krispy Kreme, and you see the girls hang out in it, doing the little knife game thing for the last bite of donut. The only thing that like screamed, and I have to agree with a couple nostalgia critic Doug Walker made the point of I just wanted the ad to pop up the line on the bottom Krispy Kreme when Rita she's found it, she's been hunting for it, and she has two donuts in her hand, and she goes, and then I mean the ceiling collapses behind her, but it's like okay that was over the top and cheesy as fuck. Um, but it was fun. I thought everything was funny, and I don't know. I didn't really mind the little bit of ad placement there, or fair amount of ad placement. But um, the only the only things I really did, the only other things like I said, not enough action. Not seeing them fight Rita was my only super complaints. Um, I didn't mind Goldar's design at all, so that was cool. Instead of being the giant floating or flying monkey, right at a Wizard of Oz, it was this liquefied like oh like I want to make the Ivan Ooze joke because like our first villain for the Mighty Morphin movie was Ivan Ooze, who was this like liqueformic being where he just like kind of slithers around, and then we get Goldar 20 years later, and it's a liqueformic being that just kind of that like slithers up to Rita and heals her mid fight, and it's like, wait a minute. um, I guess if I were to put a rating on this movie, it would be from a fanboy perspective. I mean, shit. By comparison to the last two movies we got, 10 out of 10. Realistic fanboy, 9 and 8 to 9 out of 10, depending on how much the little action was player. Realistically, 6.5 out of 7 or 7, 6.5 or 7. Um, because I feel like I'd put this in the same category as Godzilla, and we only get like 20 minutes worth of Godzilla anyway in those movies. So, what you gonna do? I'm excited for a second one. I hope they do a second one. I hope this doesn't. It's open but closed at the same time, so it's not like okay, they have a 6 movie deal, like they have the idea of a 6 movie story arc. So hopefully we get to go through with all that. But it falls through. It falls through. So they closed it. That all right, maybe not. Um, Second one, I just want more Zord fighting. I hope in a way they're going to get their 20 minutes are going to open with the Machine Empire showing up or pick an enemy. Probably Zed, maybe. Right? Zed shows up, beats the fuck out of that thing. That thing gets blown the fuck up. Because you know they're going to want to sell more toys on the second one. So they're going to make a new Zord and they're not going to make that thing again. That thing gets blown the fuck up, but we see it fight, at least try. It's blown up. They get new Zords, maybe, new powers, whatever. They don't have to go through all the nonsense of we have to learn. They may do some rebuilding, like reteam, or just okay, we got to integrate this bastard into the team. So there'll be a little bit of shakiness, but they've pretty much laid all the groundwork down. So they just have to like re-go, and then they get new powers, they get new Zords. I don't know if they'll change. They'll change the suits. We'll see how that happens. And then we get to see the next climax, or maybe another mini fight or two, or them fighting with the new putties or the new baddie, right? And then we escalate to Zords a little faster, or maybe a little more spread out instead of exposition, 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 exposition. All right, build up, build up, build up, build up. Climax. There's no action. no like hints. There was a little bit of training, but I like the movie. Um, I don't think I'll see it a third time. I don't think it's that good to see that many times in a row. I'm definitely picking up a Blu-ray, so I think that's about everything I can think of on this movie. So yeah. All right, guys, that was my thoughts. You guys have a good night.